All right, what's up everyone again? Welcome to yet another video. This video we're going to be doing a weekly market analysis as per usual. First pair I'm going to be touching on is the euro dollar. So euro USD has been pretty bullish for quite some time. We can see that we did break some swing structure over here around second week of June, and then we've continued creating higher highs and higher lows. So a higher high, higher low, we broke that higher high, and currently we are in that pullback leg. Now, what I'll be looking for, let's just see what we have here. Okay, so nothing really crazy in terms of a change of character or shift in structure. So we can assume that this is just possibly just a pullback to come here, and then the swing trend could be wanting to continue onto the upside because we do have demand that has taken, we do have demand that is sitting right here that has caused that break of structure to the upside. So currently we are pulling back quite corrective all the way down. I did catch some good sells last week, which I'll be doing a separate video on that one. Currently my biggest trade of 2025, made about $800 off that trade. Pretty happy, super happy with it. Yeah, and I'll be sharing some tips and tricks on how you can catch such trades. And I'm also hoping that I can catch many more of those trades. Now, we can see that we are in this corrective phase. So I'm going to jump down to the 4 hour. Let's see what the 4 hour looks like. I mean, pretty bullish as well for quite some time. You can see that we did break there. Swing boss, we did break that. And then we continued on to the upside to create that high. Swing high and a swing low. Swing low right here. Right, broke all the way to the upside, and then what we are seeing now is that pullback leg. So as of July, first week of July last week, we did see a nice change of character and an internal break of structure. So once we got that IBOS, then we knew that this leg right here is done, and we have started that corrective leg to the downside. So then we'd be looking for sells, and we did catch some beautiful sells from some of these two regions up there around the 1.176 price point, catching trades all the way down to the 1.16. We are currently sitting at 1.16. However, we do know that we are coming to mitigate this demand zone right here. So that's kind of my expectation for the week, for price to come down, maybe possibly see a reaction around the 1.160 price point. Let me just move these things around. Around the 1.160 price point. If that gets run, or if it gets taken, then maybe we'd want to see a deeper pullback into the 1.148. That might take some time. However, as of now, my quick region or area of interest is a 1.1600, and then I'd possibly be looking for price reaction off of that zone, possibly catch some buys, targeting that 4 hour week swing high. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking at for euro dollar at the moment. This is our strong down here. Right, if you want to get an understanding of how I do my analysis, if I'm moving a bit too fast, or if you just want to understand what the market is doing and how we get this analysis and catch such trades, if you want to be doing the analysis with me as well, I'll be doing that on a weekly basis so that we get an understanding. And I do also offer some educational courses that can help you really make your trading better. So that's currently what I'm looking at for euro dollar from an intraday perspective. Looking to maybe short this week highs up here, 1.170, price pull back, and then we continue that downtrend all the way to the downside because we can't see that supply structure has been, supply order flow has been respected. We came here, mitigated, and then we're continuing all the way to the downside. That's kind of what I'm looking at for euro dollar. USD/JPY, I think, let's see, pretty bullish on UJ at the moment. We can see that we have been respecting structure. We did break to the upside, price pull back into this demand zone, mitigated some of those orders, and then we've started pushing back to the upside or rallying to the upside as of last week, which is good. So what I'd be interested in looking at is price to get to this 150.260, 268, 260 range over there. Then I'd start probably looking for some sells, the sell reaction coming down to the downside. Why? Because maybe these strong, because we do have some strong highs sitting up here, strong highs sitting up there. We do have a 4 hour swing week. We are trading within this range So we'd want to see these strong highs being respected and price shifting order flow, shifting to the downside, and us targeting some of those weak for our lows. That's kind of it. If we do break above that 150 price range, then I'd be looking for long continuations, possibly coming into a deeper mitigation of this supply, big supply range right here, for us to now look for a price reaction and possibly look for that continued downward momentum. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking at for UJ. Currently still bullish at the moment. If I was looking at it from an intraday perspective, I think we're pretty high. We are definitely in the premium of that range. However, because we know we want to trade continuations, I'd be looking for maybe price to come back into this zone. Push up. Let's see what that looks like in the 4 hour. Yeah, I'd be possibly looking for, yeah, we kind of already mitigated. Okay, maybe look for a deeper mitigation of this zone for price to come deeper into that, into this range, and then possibly look for drop down to the 15-minute or the 1 minute for entries, and look for intraday scalps to the upside as we target that 4 hour supply area up there. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for UJ. Pretty bullish at the moment. We can see that our swing structure is quite bullish. Our internal is also shifted bullish. We are anticipating a reaction off of this zone, definitely, for supplies, but it would be interesting to see if we can flip that zone actually, because we do have the reaction. That break to the upside would be interesting to actually catch as we get into that 149, 150 price point. So that's kind of currently what I'm looking at in UJ. USD CAD, let's see. On the daily, pretty bearish on USD CAD. We can see that we do have this big supply range up here. Price didn't really come back and mitigate that range, so we could possibly see over time, if we get structure or order flow shifting bullish, we could see a long rally coming back to this 1.45, 1.46, 1.48 region. We are currently at 1.36, and we're sitting low, sitting tight down there. In terms of order flow, we can see, yes, daily. From the daily, we are at very, very interesting demand zones. I'd be looking for possible aggressive buys around this area. We can see that price has already shifted bullish. We got that daily chalk. We also have, we got that daily chalk. We also kind of have had, we have had that daily break of structure as well, meaning that this leg could be over, and now the internal pullback is beginning. And then our order flow is shifting bullish, which makes sense because we are at a very interesting demand zone. Now, with that said, looking at the 4 hour, we can see that our swing, we broke there to the high, then we broke down here. So this leg has been, is over, I think, because we got our eyeballs right there. So order flow is shifting bullish. What I'd be looking for is, this is one big range. Price kind of has mitigated there. We are quite corrective around this area, around the 1.369 region. I'd want to sort of see price pull back slightly to the 1.364 region and then looking for buys. If not, I just wait for price to get up to the 1.38 and then now look for those shorts, because then I'd be pro swing. Obviously, I'd be counter internal, and we know that internal could overpower us and push us to the upside if market structure is shifting. But at this point in time over here, I'd be looking to catch some pro swing trend shorts to the downside for USD CAD. So that's kind of what I'm looking at the moment for USD CAD. Let's see, GBP, okay, GU, pretty bullish on GU. I mean, we've been bullish for quite some time. We broke that swing, came back, mitigated, and then pushed again to the upside. We can see continuous bullish pressure. We formed that swing high, 1.3794, almost at 1.38 psychological level last week, and then we pushed back down to the downside. Last week, first week of July, and then we pushed back down to the downside gradually, correctively. Now we're at a very interesting demand zone right here at the 1.346 region. What I can be looking for is a sort of shift in structure, and then something to show us, or a signal to show us, a confirmation that that swing leg is done. So maybe get our confirmation, and then now start looking for bullish trades to target that daily swing high, swing week high, that daily week high. Let's see what that looks like on the 4 hour. Yes, we are in a daily zone, daily demand zone. Very interesting. We'll be seeing how price plays out today and possibly tomorrow, and then we can now start catching those swing highs. We can see that we have continued breaking to the downside, which is good. We do have that range right there, so price should be coming back to mitigate and then continue to the downside. However, we are at this demand, so I'd be wary about looking for sells from this area right here, just because we've already mitigated a big daily demand. So what I'd be looking for again, like I said, confirmations, and then now look for those buys to target that swing high. Our internal is still bearish, but we're looking to sort of catch that counter internal pro trend or pro swing trades to the upside, because we are still pretty bullish on GU. If we do get a break below this area, below the 1.34 psychological area, then I'd be looking for price again to come deeper into that zone and possibly give us a reaction off of that area. We do have unmitigated zones down here. So we have one over there. And we do have another one over here. Okay, so that's kind of what we'd be looking at for price to react, and then we can look for a confirmation, but our bias is still pretty bullish at the moment. Pound yen, we have been bullish for quite some time. Again, pound pairs have been quite bullish. We can see that if we were to draw that trend line, we've been respecting it quite a bit, and we've been breaking structure to the upside. Let me just do that correction. Yeah, and we broke structure to the upside, so we could be looking for that pullback, mitigation into that zone. Where are you? Mitigation into that zone, into this zone, mitigation into that zone, and then we continue on to the upside. So currently, let me just jump down to the 4 hour to see what we are seeing. Yeah, pretty bullish for quite some time. We could be looking for a corrective pullback of some sort. That is our swing low right there. We are coming in here, so I think I'd be interested to see whether price can actually get into these deeper zones right there. We do have unmitigated demand over here, which I'd be wary of. I do know that there are some trades down here, but I'll keep it there because that's where we'd want to see some reactions. So I'd pretty much wait for price to react off that zone and then see if we can catch some buys. If we do come, maybe a reaction, because we know that internal structure is bearish at the moment, so we could get overpowered from that reaction. So then we could wait for price to get to the 195.5 zone or region, and then we can look for those continuations to the upside in that sense. For now, still bearish on GJ. Why? Because we've just we've confirmed that this internal swing pullback. Why? Because we can see now that we do have confirmation that the swing pullback has started. So we'll be waiting for signs to tell us that the swing pullback has ended for us to look for continuation buys, continuation of those buys. But as of now, looks like we'll be bearish for the next couple of days. At least from an intraday perspective, if I was to look for trades, I mean, we can see the price is really corrective. We did come back, mitigate some of those trades, and then come back down. Maybe look for intraday scalps from that region in there, and then short them to play that short, that pullback to the 197.661 region. That's kind of what I'd be looking for from an intraday perspective. Quick scalps, and then this would be my TPs. TP right here, TP1, TP2, maybe down there, and then just hold the rest and see if we can actually get a deeper pullback to the 196 region. AUD USD has been bullish for quite some time, but now we are seeing that price could be corrective. We are in a very interesting supply zone right here, 0.66 region. We can see we do have some unmitigated supply, and we are currently at that supply. We have been pretty corrective to the upside, not very interesting or exciting price action. But what I'd be looking for is maybe just a pullback to the downside, because we really haven't been corrective at all. We do have this range. It is a massive range, but it is a range worth looking at. I think we did mitigate at least a couple of times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the higher end of it. What I'd be looking for maybe is for price to a quick impulsive move to the downside, maybe to liquidate some of these orders, and then we can continue on to the upside. As of now, AUD/USD just on my radar, but nothing too exciting there. Right, looking at gold, gold pretty bullish on gold. We have been moving quite nicely to the upside. We did break a swing internal there. We are currently in this daily range. We did come back down to mitigate a daily demand, which is interesting, and then we pushed back to the upside. But however, we're seeing that price is quite stuck around the equilibrium of this region. For gold to be giving me a corrective pullback, maybe to the 3,300 price point, and then we can continue looking for those buys. We have pulled back to an interesting demand zone, supply zone up here. So we are at the extreme. So it'd be very difficult to actually go in for a trade. But what I'd be looking for is for price to just continuously push to the upside, maybe to that 3,900 level. But if we do get a shift in order flow and it becomes bearish, if we do get bearish order flow, I'd be looking for price to come back to this 3,400 region, 3,300, 3,400, and then I'd start looking for corrective buys to the upside, and then maybe target some of those weak lows to the upside at the 3,400 to maybe all-time highs at 3,500. That's currently what I'd be looking for when it comes to gold. Okay, BTC. Yeah, Bitcoin rallied crazy last week, giving us highs. We're currently at 122. Madness. 122 is where we are at. We broke this structure quite aggressively to the upside. We were looking for this was our zone of interest. We wanted price to come back to this 105, 106 region, and then we catch those buys, but price just didn't come back to that region. So we did get left behind. But some of these things happen. So at this point in time, instead of chasing the trade, what I'd be looking for from Bitcoin is corrective pullbacks. So then, so then corrective pullbacks. I mean, we did flip this zone. We did break that structure. So I'd be looking for price we did miss that trade. So I'd be looking for price to give us confirmation that the swing pullback has started. And then we can maybe look for reactions off there, possibly scalp some buys. However, I'd be looking for internal order flow to be strong enough to push us down to the 112 region or 112 price point. And then now we can start looking for those buys again, possibly targeting these highs again, or those all-time highs at 125 if we do get there. But currently 122, 123 is the region that is very of interest to me. So for BTC, just sitting on my hands, watching it this entire week, waiting for those corrective pullbacks to start. Then we can start looking for sells towards these regions and then towards also that 112 price point. That's currently what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. GBP card, let's see. Yeah, we've been ranging quite a bit. We've been ranging quite a bit, but we have sort of wicked out of that range. We are trading within that range. So what we'll be looking for is for price to give us a reaction around the 1.84293 region right here. Okay, that's what I'll be looking for. And then we can look for possible continuation buys. That would be pro swing trend. That is our trend currently. And then we target those weak highs because we have been creating higher highs and higher lows. Internal has also switched bullish as of here. We did get that pullback and then internal switched bullish. And then we continued buying to the upside. We have had a nice break of that structure and then a corrective pullback to this demand zones at the 1.84. So intraday, I'd possibly be looking for a reaction to see if we can catch that lower high and then target those daily week swing highs. However, we do know that internal structure is bullish. I'll just move down to the 4-hour. Internal structure is bearish, sorry. So we do have our strong high there and our weak low. And it is, that's currently what we're sort of looking at. So we are wary that we can come and mitigate that zone, maybe take out some of those lows and then correct to the upside. However, we do know that if we do break below that zone, below 1.83, then I'd be looking for those sells. Okay, be looking for sells possibly to come into this deeper demand. Down here, unmitigated at the 1.81, 1.80 price level, coming into those daily strongs. coming into those daily strongs to see how price is going to react off of that zone, then possibly catch some reversals. All right, guys, I think those are some of the trades I'll be looking at this week. Some of the pairs I'm looking at this week. Pretty exciting week because the market seems to be alive and moving quite a bit. If you want to learn how to analyze the markets, just like I do, so that you can do it for yourself and catch some of those trades, I do have a big announcement coming soon. So do stay tuned within the Telegram community, because I'll be sharing all those details there, and you guys are going to be having the first look at what exactly I'll be putting out.